I mean, we already got some of that to a degree because obviously Yamato Cannon's one of the higher profile coaches, with Ibai kind of going in on him for stupid reasons about like
I was going to ask about
viewership
that.
reasons.
That was the next topic. What do you think
Yeah.
about that, by the way? Because here's my problem with that is I don't know the Ibai guy. And unlike people on the Esports Awards panel, I don't pretend I speak Spanish when I don't. So I have no idea what he says. He's just a guy who comes out and says a bunch of stuff in Spanish. Last time I did Spanish, I was about 16 years old. So unsurprisingly, I don't really remember that much, do I? You know, un poquito más. So basically, he came out, and I can only see when he does the tweets because I can translate them. He just did a really like rude, bizarre tweet towards Yamato. Here's where I actually don't like those guys, by the way, who lead the big, massive ultra fan bases. They never are just cool people, Monte. You were trying. They always sell it like that, like I'm just trying to make it more fun and make it engaging, and let's have like fans. And then what they always are is just like their fucking like Witchmaster General leading their mob of people with a pitchfork towards you because they just got annoyed at you. So because Yamato had the audacity to be like, I thought Koi was in LEC last year, because they were, but the joke is they were sponsoring fucking Rogue, the most boring team of all time. So they didn't have any of these fans, did they? Unsurprisingly, they weren't like people lined up with fucking drums like, oh, Larson, 11 CS when I thought he'd have 10. You know, they weren't doing it. Like that shit, man. Like, they weren't doing any of that shit, were they? So obviously it's even a good fucking like barb back. But instead of just, by the way, as you idiot fans would think a real influencer would do, this actually shows, by the way, Ibai is somewhat of an amateur. This is amateur hour. What you do is you banter back in similar fashion. And if you do it right, by the way, everyone gets to like it, and it's funny, and it blows it up in a cool way. All he did is just really salty, just be like, yeah, who cares? Oh, you had 100k views on it. All right, Ibai. So you're actually basically, think about this, mate. I'm sure you love football because you're from Spain, right? This is like you finally got into La Liga, the main league you watched your whole life. You've dreamed of being in football. Of course, everyone in football in Spain wants to be involved in La Liga, and you know, fucking Real Madrid, Barcelona. I feel like, oh no, you don't want to sponsor one of those teams. You just want to sponsor any team, even a shit team in La Liga, as long as your Twitch stream gets views. What's that got to do with being a fan of La Liga, you dickhead? Like, what I don't get about this is it's not even a good dunk, mate. His dunk is, I have like 100k Spanish people on my stream. Like, first of all, I'll just hurt everyone's feelings right now. I didn't say this. Actually, the world of finance said this, but a Spaniard is not equal to an American. And that's not some sort of like philosophical statement. That's just financially. Believe it or not, one of the reasons. One of the reasons why you can actually have, for example, on the Brazilian broadcast, enormous viewership, but those same people aren't like Ninja or Shroud and don't live in a mansion in LA, is because unfortunately there's just not as much sponsor money for certain areas. So, like, by the way, shout out to Ibai. He has done an insane job cultivating a national audience that does have an interest in esports. My problem is just in this particular scenario, it's like, what I don't really get why they. It feels to me like he took Yamato's comment as some sort of crazy, like, cutting remark. I didn't see it that way. I thought Yamato's just seems pretty frivolous. It feels quite lighthearted, doesn't it?
Here's my theory, Thorin. I think that Koi Rogue breakup was pretty nasty, based on the information that was like coming out about Ibai.
I mean, the fact it was leaked that he was owed money sounds like his people put that out there, doesn't it? Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So, and like, it seems like there were some financial improprieties, or like Ibai was spending money to like prop up the Rogue org. So I would guess that if he had just left and it was kind of innocuous, Thorin, that maybe he wouldn't have responded like that. But I think there was probably some salt in a wound there. You think he
perceived it as like trying to open the wound again and poking it? You think that's what he thought Yamato was doing?
Well,
Yamato was, to be fair. Could be.
Yeah, and so I think even if he didn't perceive that Yamato was doing that, I think he's probably still tilted about that situation. And so any mention of it may in fact set him off. Now, should it cause him to react like that? Obviously not, especially like kind of in the childish way that he did, just talking about viewership as if that matters. Like, you sponsored a team last year and they were just kind of a categorical failure across. I mean, they certainly underperformed across the LEC, and there were not a lot of expectations coming in for Mad Lions Koi. And it is ridiculous to have a team called Koi be a different team in the LEC this year. I mean, frankly, that should just not be allowed. Like, Riot should have just said no to that. Like, they should say, you can be part of the Mad Lions org, but you're not going to bring back the Koi brand because it's too confusing, and we're not going to have this jump around from team to team.
Mate, didn't you think that was crazy? This is what I said on Twitter, and people will never get this. Like, first of all, I care about esports history, dickheads. I put 22 years of my adult life into that exact endeavor. So I care about things like, it's why people go like, why do you obsess about who wins an award or who is top 20 in Counter-Strike? Because in 20 years, a fan will look at that website and look back in time to him and go, wow, that was the best player in 2023. Oh my God, this team was on top. And those things do matter for history. Like, people need the shorthand. So similarly, Monty, if someone looks back now on Gamepedia, yes, of course it will say Mad Lions Koi, but the other team, Rogue, renamed to Koi. So what it will look like is Mad Lions like bought Koi's team. They didn't. It's like literally you just changed the branding. Now, all I'll say is think of the sports example, guys, right? It's one thing. Yes, obviously the Raiders can move from Los Angeles, Oakland to fucking Las Vegas, but it's not like they actually like fucking changed like the franchise. It's not like the Colts and the Raiders go, we're just going to change names. Like, we're the Colts now and you're the Raiders. And then every time in history, someone goes, and then of course you guys in the Colts used to have Peyton Manning and they're like, Peyton, we didn't. We had Rich Gannon. What are you talking about? Like, you just ruin history to do it. Like, as Monty says, he's not making a crazy demand. Can we just have it where either you buy the org and that's just the name of the org from now on, and then you sell that if you don't want it, or make it like you should have, what you could have also done, even though it's not as good, is you could at least have called it Rogue Koi instead of just Koi. Because I agree, the fact it was Koi for a year and now Mad Lions is Koi, but a totally separate org, to me is very silly. Like, that's going to look bad on all these wikis, like I say.
It's just like a virus that's hopping from team to team across the LEC.
But enough about Ibai and his fan base.
That was the implication. That was the implication.
Okay, right. And to be fair, wherever there is sort of sickness like that, Monty, brewing and incubating, you will find rats, diseased rats, screaming, running around the outside, which is obviously Caedrel's people, isn't it? So there you go. We've got them all. Got them all in. By the way, the real thing I actually do feel low-key bad for is this is where Yamato, on the one hand, if he has the mental for it, could actually do insane numbers and work this year, not only in the game, but obviously now he has the circus outside of the game he can be involved in. Or it will completely destroy his mental as he simultaneously attempts to walk the tightrope of head coach of a massive hype team with massive players and a lot of money spent, and like caught fan bases for around the world. Well, so let's think, if anyone could do it, I'll say he has a chance. I feel like he's got like sort of the personality, the overwhelming optimism to do it, but man, it's going to be hard.
He has strong mental, number one. And number two, like I said, Thorin, he spent the entirety of last year basically just courting the Carmine Court fans. Remember when he was on the show and I said that he had been streaming like VOD reviews of all their games? And that was his most watched content. So he had already figured out how to butter up those fans. He'd been working on it for a while. I think he'll do just fine. He's had an entire year of preparation for this moment.
By the way, we will actually maybe talk about some of the games later. Like, this is obviously the topic about the fans. Right, I've got a question for you. Right? I know we're all used to the crazy narrative whiplash of best of ones anyway, because that's what League of Legends has been in the West. But when people, after just like one Mad Lions game, we're like, I told you, what the, you want them to like people after one BO1. It's like, guys, we can't be at fever pitch. This is how you know that this circuit doesn't work, because you've all been fiending for League since World's End so much that you just lost, you've blown your load completely. The second she unbuttons the first like button of the fucking cardigan, like, you haven't even seen any skin yet, you idiot, you've blown your load. Oh my Lions, like, fucking, you've already bought it already. Like, settle in, for fuck's sake, guys. Settle in. Come on.
It's not even that. It's just the next day they also got ultra clapped by SK Gaming.
Know,
exactly. It lasted, you know, less than 24 hours.
Let me find the tweet, because you know what? Every now and then someone nails it. You probably saw this. This one that Rich's Wrath did. That was along those lines where I'll give him credit, because obviously he loves actually inciting all the stupid Spanish and French fans to go ham on him. And somehow he is one of those people who could just handle it. I don't know. So I'll see if I can find it, because he had a really good one. As you can imagine, there's been 1 million tweets. Let me just quickly. Oh, here we go. It goes. It's after the second game, once it goes, congrats to SK for beating world champions Mad Koi. Mad Koi's incredible run of one BO1 win against a trash team comes to an end. Hashtag LEC. You know, here's the thing. That's like that joke, you know, like some people, you know, play the violin. Rich just plays Twitter. Well done. You just absolutely played those fan base. That's actually sick. Well done. Respect.
Yeah, and it turns out that SK might actually be the best team in LEC right
They're
now.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they've looked really good this week. And like pretty well rounded. We'll get into some complaints, but I think the Niski value has been absolutely insane. Did love the El Yoya Niski rivalry match between Mad Lions. That was fun.
See more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, be a pleb and don't.